discuss issues informally with staff and invited guests. The board encourages members of the public to attend work sessions and listen to the discussion, but there's generally no opportunity for public comment. Members of the public wishing to address the board are welcome to do so during the board's regularly scheduled meetings held twice monthly. And I will say that Commissioner Wakua is in California. He's not going to be able to join us today. But I see we have the rest of the board, and we'll move first into the agenda review. Do we have any comments on the agenda? Okay, not seeing any. We'll go ahead and move directly into our presentation here with Northwest Oregon Works Maritime Program on page 2. And we're honored to have Len Tamburillo, our Maritime Program Coordinator, with us. So I will go ahead and turn it over to Len. Welcome.
Thank you very much, Chair. Good morning, everyone. Like the chair said, my name is Len Tamburillo. I'm with Northwest Oregon Works, which is a workforce development board that serves 5 counties. We've got Columbia County to the north, Clatsop County, the best county, Tillamook County, Lincoln, and Benton County. And I'm here today to talk about one of my favorite subjects, and that's the maritime program that I've been managing and overseeing for the last year. Next slide. So my goal today, I kind of give a presentation summary overview, is tell you a little bit about myself, talk about the state of Oregon's maritime sector, the maritime world history timeline, kind of give you a background of that. And then the first ever $2 million that was put to the maritime sector via House bill. And then it hasn't been confirmed, but we've been told that there's $2 million in the governor's biannual budget for the maritime program through 25 to 27. So we're just waiting for the money to be doled out to Northwest Oregon Works. So I'm excited about that. And based on, 1 year kind of a beta test and trying to, build a box or build an identity for the maritime program, my vision is to set up a maritime sector partnership, starting with maritime sector in Clatsop County as well as Lincoln County, because that of the 5 counties that we manage, they have the most employees and the biggest maritime piece. So this will give me an opportunity, and I don't want to dwell on this, but the sector partnership will give me the opportunity to engage with industry on a regular basis and get their highest priorities and then work towards solutions for those priorities. Does that make sense? So I'm going to try to institutionalize a process where we get industry's needs and wants, and then make sure the educational and the recruiting arm are in lockstep with the industry. Next slide. So just to give you a background, I think credibility is a huge thing, especially in the maritime sector. I was lucky enough to be in the Coast Guard for 28 years. Retired here in 2013 as a captain. I was the deputy sector commander of Sector Columbia River. During my time in the Coast Guard, I gained an incredible appreciation, not just for the maritime, the people on the ships or on the boats doing the work at sea. I gained a great appreciation for the maritime transportation support system. So the MTS, everything from the people out on the water to the shore side to keep the boats running, process the fish, package the fish, distribute the fish, and there's so many other arms of that. But the maritime transportation system, boat build or shipbuilding, ship repair, that's a huge arm, and I could go on and on. And then I had the opportunity in 2013 to take the reins of the seamanship program out at Job Corps. And I did that for 11 years, graduated over 500 merchant mariners to help the industry do their job and do it safely. So that's my first, in the Coast Guard, we always had workforce development. We were always training people to do their job and promote within. Then I had the opportunity to really help 18 to 24-year-olds turn their life around, but also get great jobs in the maritime industry, and the maritime industry absolutely loved our products. So that was cool. And then in 2024, I heard about this job opening. And like I said before, I was on that task force. I thought, man, since I can see this full circle, got the background, I should apply for it. And I was hired in May of 2024. And the rest is history. So just have over a year with Northwest Oregon Works, and I absolutely love what I'm doing. And I feel like it's kind of, we talk about leaving a legacy. This is kind of the coup de grace. This is my swan song where I can take all my experience and maybe leave the state of Oregon's maritime industry better than I found it. So I'm really excited to have this job. Next slide. So you're probably wondering what the maritime sector coordinator is supposed to do. This is the best slide that I could come up with over the year that I've been doing the job. Really, what I'm trying to do is institutionalize this talent pipeline value chain for the maritime industry. And if you see on the far left, it talks about awareness and guidance. So that's your recruiting arm. What I've been doing is trying to work with K through 12 and get greater exposure to the maritime careers locally and, quite frankly, all over this great nation. And then if you have somebody in the high school that's interested, having internships, apprenticeships for these kids to go out and see it, smell it, touch it. And then if they're really serious, making sure that the community colleges in our 5 counties have the courses that will help them get the certifications necessary to gain the job with the industry. And then on the right side is really plugging in with industry and seeing what their biggest needs are, and making sure that the training programs with the community college match up or in alignment with the industry. So have I done that yet? No. In a year, I think my top priority was, hey, I'm Len Tumbarella. I'm the first ever maritime program coordinator, and I had $2 million to invest in a year. I'm proud to say that I invested all $2 million, but I'm not a big fan of making decisions in a vacuum. So when I get to the latter part of this presentation, I'll show you that I'll have a team of real experts from the industry help me make those decisions. Does that make sense so far? Any questions? Okay, next slide. Please. All right, so 1859, that's when the state of Oregon was established. 1800 to the present, maybe even earlier than that. The maritime industry has been a prevalent job and income for individuals and businesses and revenue for the state of Oregon. Like I said, 2017, the governor, so a long time between 1859 and 2017 for a task force to be stood up to analyze the maritime sector to see if it deserved attention with workforce development and, quite frankly, having a seat at the funding table. It took us about 2 years to finish the report, and the recommendation was to recognize the importance of the maritime sector and for the state to invest in this very vital sector. So in 2000, we all know what happened. So the wheels of bureaucracy slowed down. And it wasn't until 2023 that a House Bill 3410 was approved and established the mandate to pay attention to the maritime sector. And then $2 million was doled out for the workforce development boards to invest. And then because I think we did such a good job in the first year, the governor was convinced to put the maritime budget as a line item, not a House approved House bill, but as a line item in her budget so that we could keep building Rome, so to speak. So that's the history. I'm taking you up to where we are today. And next slide, please. So the initial $2 million, again, my biggest priority was spreading the word about the maritime funding and the maritime program, the first ever maritime program. I went out to individuals, businesses, and support partners and let them know that I had money. I went out, kind of door to door, and I came up with a funding request process. The funding request processes, I was surprised in the first month I received 3 or 4 of them, so it started gaining traction rather quickly. And I was kind of, other than my chain of command, who have no maritime experience whatsoever, I was really making those decisions solely. And really they were made with no real world or big picture industry input. And for the time, we deemed it acceptable because I was building a ship while it was underway, and that's not a good thing. So not ideal, but we built exposure. We gained some great partnerships, and the $2 million were invested by June 30th. But what I saw from the maritime sector, I mean, I felt like Santa Claus a lot of times when I was out there giving money away. I couldn't do anything wrong. But what I saw was a sector or an industry that felt like they were underappreciated and undervalued. And when you have about 40,000 employees statewide and you bring in about $4.3 billion to the state of Oregon's economy, you shouldn't feel that way. So that's one of the things that's going to keep me going and try to help them become valued and more appreciated. Next slide. So just some pictures here on the far left with the pilot boat that's at the Columbia River Maritime Museum. I funded Oregon State University's fishery extension. That's commercial fishing vessel safety training. These are young people that thought they wanted to be part of the fishing fleet, and they got some training and they got some certificates. The next two, the forklift and the power washer, that was for the Port of Astoria to help them help the maritime industry with throughput and making sure their vessels were ready to do the job. In the left-hand side, you see all the fish being filleted. I funded Oregon Coast Visitors Association for seafood butchery training at high schools up and down the Oregon coast. And they got an opportunity not only to learn how to properly fillet a fish, but they gained an appreciation for what kinds of fish come from the Pacific Ocean. And what I heard from the people that were running that, you'd be surprised what young kids don't know. What kind of fish come out of that blue water that I lived by for the last 18 years. So, and then on the far right, again, it's Oregon State University Fisheries Extension. We held an appreciation luncheon for the commercial fishing fleet in the area, and I gave them money if their anti-exposure suits were, not fit for duty. We gave them a new one, or we fixed their old one. And really, what we were trying to do is break down those barriers to employment. So those are some of the things. Hey, can you go back a slide, please, Teresa? Yeah, and that's me out there being Santa Claus. The top left is that's Fish Her. It's a woman run program for the commercial fishing fleet here on the Columbia River. And we help them again gear and fishing license. So we broke down barriers there. There's Will Isom, me at the Port of Astoria. I think that was for the forklift. And then I helped a company in the far right there. That's at Mertz at the community college. I helped Astoria Environmental Incorporated. They were tasked with hiring crews for the NOAA boats that do salmonoid research. So they have to actually be credentialed merchant mariners. So I provided money for them to give incentives for the people that come to Astoria to do that work. And we paid for like gas and lodging and things like that. Bottom left-hand corner, that's Akva. That's the lady that put on the seafood butchery training. And then, at Mertz, I gave them money to upgrade their navigational equipment on their training vessel Forerunner, so that their students are learning on equipment that matches industry standard, that it's not obsolete. And then on the far right-hand corner, that's Oregon State Fisheries Extension. So I would go out and give them a big check, make it a big deal. One of my things that I wanted to do is make sure people knew about this. So I would work with the local newspapers to get some time in their newspaper. So that was we were pretty successful in doing that. So next slide, next slide. So here's a little testimonial. I always love a testimonial. I can talk and say, man, we've done a good job, but this is a young man from Eugene that's always wanted to be a commercial fisherman. So if you just hit that, Teresa, you got to control. There you go. Come on, baby. And hit it. I can't hear it. Can you guys hear it?
No, there's no audio.
Yeah. Let me try to do some. Okay. Go ahead and tank it, Teresa. That's fine. I'll just paraphrase it. This is a young man that lived in Eugene, Oregon, always heard about commercial fishing. He came up to one of the trainings and he got licensed. He got his Mustang or his anti-exposure suit, and he's now part of the fishing fleet here in Astoria. So I think that's pretty cool. I always think that, if you can't see it, you'll never be able to dream about it. And he had the opportunity. So next slide.
I'm trying to figure out how to go back.
Yeah. I think if you just in the show, maybe.
No.
Huh.
Here. Let me get out and get back in.
Yeah, can you escape out of it?
Oh, here we
So
go.
well, okay, good. So so now we've got $2 million. We've got a year under our belt as a beta test. We've learned a lot and we want to be a little bit smarter. So in a nutshell, what we're going to do is build a maritime sector partnership. And I'm working with this company called NextGen, who has expertise in that, setting up these partnerships throughout the nation. And what these partnerships are, what makes them unique, it's business driven. And it becomes a long-term working group or advisory group. And what it's going to focus on is strengthening the maritime sector in Clatsop County as well as Lincoln County. I'm going to start off with those two counties, and my plan is to go to the three other in Northwest Oregon Works area of responsibility. And then if we're really successful, making it a state of Oregon maritime sector partnership. And what I've been doing right now is I've been going out door to door to England Marine, WCT Construction, Burgesson Construction, and really educating them on the process, but also gaining their support when we kick this thing off. And what it's going to be is it'll address the top priorities in the industry, not only workforce development, but infrastructure, maybe rules and regulations that are slowing them down, and it'll be an ongoing approach. Does everybody understand what I'm trying to set up? Any questions on that? Okay, next slide. And I'll delve in a little bit more here to the details, but I don't want to bore you. So, like I said, we're going to partner with NextGen Partnership. They'll be the facilitators of this. The labor market region is Lincoln County and Clatsop County, and we're going to come together. And when I say come together, we're going to have a in-person launch meeting where the NextGen facilitators will be there. And then you'll have the industry partners that I've gained support from at the middle of the room at a table. And then on the outside of the room is going to be your education, your workforce development, your economic development, and community organizations that are going to be just in the listen mode. And the way I understand it, I've had the opportunity to sit through one of these launch meetings. In about 3 hours, these NextGen facilitators will be able to tease out, let's say, the top 5 priorities in workforce development for that region. And then at that point, once you get the priorities, you're going to have an industry lead for each action team for each one of the priorities. And then the support partners like myself, the economic development, they're going to be on these action teams. And now they're a team that's working on the number one priority, the number two priority. But it's the industry that's going to lead each one of those action teams. And then once they go off and do their stuff, we start meeting on a quarterly basis for them to report out. So going to take some time. It's a lot different than a lot of people are used to. But I think if we can get this thing humming, you'll be amazed at the results that we'll have. And I've had the opportunity over the last year to get to know my counterpart in the state of Washington, and they've had a maritime sector partnership stood up for 4 years. And I have the opportunity to be in their quarterly meetings, and I'm amazed at the processes that they have in place. For example, one of the action teams made a K through 12 maritime career like lecture series, and it's all online, and they've got buy-in from the K through 12 to show it periodically just to give the kids an opportunity to think about becoming a mariner. So that's just one example, but they have internships, apprenticeships. The community colleges have instituted new curriculum to meet the industry's needs. So it's pretty cool. So that's the model I'm using, and I'm hoping that we can get there for the state of Oregon. Next slide. So again, how is Next Gen Partnership different from anything else? It's entirely business leader driven. And they craft their own solutions, so they have buy-in, and then they've got all the resources that they need on their team, as far as expertise, how to navigate a system that they're not familiar with, a lot of money, me, $2 million. If I'm on their team, I know that this is a top priority, so I'm going to be, ready to help them out with the money. So it's kind of a unique process, but it's going to be the power of collective effort is going to win the day here. So next slide. And this slide is just a visual representation of that launch meeting. Like I said, that'll be in person, but then we'll do in person, do some virtual stuff. But you see around the table, you've got the businesses, and then I'm trying to identify 2 business champions. So it's not me sending out the email saying, come to this launch meeting. It's going to be 2 people that I've identified and gained their buy-in to be the voice of the business or the industry. So when we have the launch meeting, they'll send out the email saying, come and join us, because it's going to be a good thing for the entire industry. And then around the table, you got K through 12. That's kind of the recruiting arm. Community colleges, that's the training arm. University, Oregon State, community-based organizations, economic development, and workforce solutions. So, yeah. So next slide. Yeah. So processes. I've built a regional sector support team. We've got that in place, and we're in the process of preparing to launch. So. Next Gen costs money, so I've waited to let a contract with Next Gen until we get this money from the governor. But once we do, I've been doing this work all along as far as building this invite list to this launch meeting and getting to know the industry personally. So we're in the prepare to launch phase. And then I talked about when we launch and then the move to action. That's kind of the process. But I will say, everybody that I've met with, they're like, man, that sounds like a great idea. And then there's always these naysayers, or everybody has, concerns. How do we keep this up? How do we keep the momentum? And I just tell them, I said, I'm a pretty hard charging guy. And when I see something that I think will work, I'll work hard to make sure that we see it through to the end. So we'll see. And then my wife, she always asked me when I was telling her I'm trying to do this, she goes, what if it fails? So, well, it fails, but at least we gave it a try. So, excited about the future. And next slide. So there's my information. Any questions, folks?
Well, Len, I got to tell you, I mean, you mentioned champions, and Northwest Oregon Works is sure fortunate to have you as a champion of this program. It's so important to our region. And, it sounds like you got 40,000 people and 3.4 billion in revenue generated, and that to be overlooked, which it obviously has been. I mean, if it was 2017 before a task force was initiated on this. It already obviously has been overlooked for decades, but it's great to see this investment. And appreciate your outreach to industry leadership. This is fantastic information. And my brother's a commercial fisherman, so it's near and dear to my heart as well. We have any questions or comments for Lynn? Commissioner Thompson?
Well, this is the part of our job that's really fun, to come with cutting edge, pragmatic, effective, build the economy, help the people, feed the people. I mean, what's not to love?
Right.
And then what happens now that Tongue Point Job Corps is shakier? What happens with know-how being, I mean, with all of the disruption, how do you maintain your sense of balance in those stormy seas?
That's a great question. And I think the way I'm going to maintain balance is control what I can control. And I think this sector partnership is even more important if the Job Corps seamanship program closes, because we're going to have to find workarounds. And if you have the right people in the right room, there's always several ways to skin a cat. And it's never easy, especially when it's something as big as the seamanship program. But yeah, I only can control what I can control. Yeah, it's sad. I mean, I look at it from a national standpoint, Commissioner Thompson. The blue collar worker in the maritime industry, and I'm talking about merchant mariners, people that have to have credentials. It's not well defined. There's a lot of high school exposure programs. Well, high school exposure programs, if you're not getting something substantial that you can go here, I can go to work. I'm talking about a merchant mariner credential. They're just exposure. And maybe you get an 18-year-old that says, "Oh yeah, that's what I want to do." I remember when I was 14 to 18 years old, I didn't know what I wanted to do. But then there's some, you got MERTS, which pumps out some people, but really, when you talk about the captains and the chief engineers in the maritime merchant mariners, that's well defined. There's like 12 universities that give 4-year degrees to become the next captains and the next engineer. But who cleans the toilets? Who paints the side of the ship? The kids from Job Corps did, with the hope that they would move up the ladder to maybe master or chief engineer. So those hungry people, those hungry kids, and I say that hungry, meaning they're hungry to do well, but they're also hungry because they don't come from much. That's an absolute travesty. We could talk about the Job Corps thing all day long. I mean, I was there for 11 years. I believe in the mission. I saw kids that were ex-gang members, ex-drug dealers, and they were there going, "I need help." And we were there to help them. That's powerful. But as far as some of the leadership issues that they're bringing up and the numbers, they didn't talk about any of that. And you can't put a price tag. You can't put a price tag on changing people's lives, especially changing people's lives that they didn't have a good start in the first 16 to 18 years of their life. So yeah, that's a nerve hitter, because I worked hard with those kids, and I wanted to help them, and to hear that, I mean, it was mixed emotions. I wasn't there anymore. That's good, because I'm not losing my job, but that's a selfish thought. I quickly went to how does it really hurt much more people than myself?
And how can you keep helping those youth? Because I taught there too, and it's so compelling. It's so, got to do it. Got to do it.
Yeah, and you can hear about it, but if you've worked there, you really understand it.
Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you, Commissioner Thompson. I appreciate you bringing up Job Corps, and I appreciate having Len weigh in on it. Obviously, there's a letter out there that Melissa Paget put out to try to support reinstatement of funding for Job Corps, and hope that everyone throughout our community and beyond signs on to support it, because it is so very vital to our community. Commissioner Banks?
Yeah, I just wanted to state that I appreciate so much that exposure that you're providing to high school students. I know that, there are a number of high school students, in really my personal experience, some of my personal students who would have greatly benefited from that type of basically just providing information to kids of what's available, because not all kids are built for a 4-year degree. Not all kids want to go to college, and providing avenues where it would fit their interests is amazing. And so I don't know if you've touched into the FFA Association,
Not yet.
the agriculture high school programs. A lot of these high school teachers are seeking information that you're providing.
Okay.
And mainly just because their kids are often very applied skill based kids, and they're looking for jobs that they can just move into when they graduate high school versus the four-year degree line. And so as a previous ag teacher, I love this presentation, and I just encourage you to reach out to potentially the FFA Association, and get in touch with these ag teachers across the state, because they'd love to hear from you.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much, Vice Chair. Yeah, a couple of things on that. Being a mariner isn't rocket science. It's really hard work, all grit, no quit. I don't think I would have been as successful in the maritime world if it wasn't for that piece. You don't have to be a rocket science. And the other thing is just like I've described, that first year has been kind of a whirlwind, and my highest priority was investing the $2 million and showing the legislature that, hey, there's a lot of need out here, but we can't build Rome in a year. So I haven't had a chance to get out with people, but the 11 years and my Coast Guard time, I think even though I'm not getting any younger, I feel like I can relate to young people. I can talk to them and really convince them that this is a good deal and kind of give them a roadmap. And I really, I get excited when I can help the young. Just yesterday, I had a young man in Hawaii that Zoomed me about the Coast Guard Academy, and he's thinking about applying. And it was a 61-year-old man and a 15-year-old kid talking, and we were having a good time, and I really enjoyed that because guess what? We were all 18 years old ourselves, and it took just maybe one person that gave some time to you that really opened your eyes to something that you might want to do for the rest of your life. So, that pay it forward type concept.
Any other comments, questions? Commissioner Webb, did you have anything you wanted to add?
Excuse me. No, just that that this has been one of the reasons that I wanted Len to come and brief you all, is that this has been a really exciting part of our work at Now for the last year, and we don't get many. I don't know if you all will remember that when when the director of Now has been here briefing us on their programs, that one of the important work of Now is sector analysis, is taking a look at this diverse 5-county region of ours that is really, really diverse. And it's exciting to me. It's been very exciting for us because there are really only 2 counties that are as dependent on the maritime industry as Lincoln and Clatsop. And so it's been very, very exciting to have a program that met our needs so very specifically. And of course, we were so fortunate to find Len, and with his broad experience. So it's been a program I wanted to bring to you all to share how wonderful it has been. There's been a lot of money flowing into Clatsop County for this, and I think especially with the sadness of what's going on at Job Corps. We're working very closely with the community college. We're kind of trying to get ready for what might happen and for the changes that might be coming. And this program is going to help us do that. So it's pretty exciting, and it's been heart-rending. And Len, when you get inquiries about the Coast Guard Academy,
You bet.
My dream in life, growing up in a Coast Guard family.
I think you've maxed the age limit. Commissioner
Well,
Webb.
no, I'm not tall enough now. That's the problem.
Oh, that's it. Okay.
I'm not tall enough. Yeah, but my dream growing up was to be the first woman to go to the Coast Guard Academy.
Really?
And I didn't make it. And I, they took women about 10 years after I graduated from high school. But now the opportunity for women, there's been a commandant now, who was a woman. So it's pretty exciting. So if you ever get a fee, but as I say, I think I could have passed the one of the things I hope everybody here knows is that getting into the Coast Guard Academy is harder than the other service academies, because it takes a whole lot. It doesn't take a congressional referral. It takes some very tough testing, and it's pretty exciting. But
Well, I'm glad I slipped through the cracks.
yeah, well, yeah, but you're tall. See, it's you tall guys. You always get into all of it. It's one of those things that's heartbreaking for we little people. But so anyway, so Lynn and I are working together, and we're going to come back to you occasionally and let you know where the money's going.
Yeah, thank you, Commissioner Webb. Appreciate it. Maybe there's an emeritus or honorary position out there for you. I do appreciate though having this presentation. Certainly, you are a great advocate for Northwest Oregon Works and the Maritime Program, Len, and let us know what we can do to help. We definitely see the value in this, and I really appreciate all you're doing. Great to see this investment in our county.
Yes, sir. Well, thank you for having me, and thank you, Commissioner Webb, for planting the seed. Even though it took us a few months to be here, I'm here because of Commissioner Webb, so I really appreciate the time. And I'll leave you with this. If you get some spare time, go to the ship report page with Joanne Rideout. I've listened to her since I was a young officer in the Coast Guard in whenever she first came out. But I just love her voice and the ships, and she talks about all things maritime, right? So June 23rd to 27th, I think, each day she had a segment of me talking about the maritime program. So go to the website on her podcast, and if you get time, we just sat for an hour, and it was really delightful. And I told her I got to see a legend in my mind to finally see her in person. So if you get an opportunity, listen to some of that podcast. It was pretty good.
Yeah, that's great, Len. Yeah, she's super, and it is just I love to hear what all what it all is passing by us, because it's overlooked so easily, and it is impressive to see the marine traffic and what's being cargoed up and down our river. It's just fascinating.
Well, it's been amazing from the standpoint I talked about people being appreciative, and that was amazing to me. But then when I reached out to the newspapers, and then I was on Oregon Public Broadcasting, I would reach out to them, and they wanted to put me on and talk about this program because I think people see the value, but I don't know if they understand the value. So they want to be educated. So that's one of the things that I'm going to work hard to do over the next several years.
That's super. Thank you. I see Commissioner Webb is live streaming the ship report right now as we speak. So.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah. Very good.
Well, thank you very much, Len. Appreciate it. We'll have you back.
And thanks for what you commissioners do. I appreciate you.
Yeah, have a good rest of your day. Thanks again.
Thank you.
Next item is naming the new road to be constructed between Highway 30 and Westport Ferry Road. Dean Kiernan, County Engineer, welcome.
Thanks. I just got promoted to a panelist. I'm pretty excited.
Wonderful. Yeah, you deserve it.
So good morning, Chair Quila, members of the board. This project's been a long journey, and now we're at a time where we need to name this road that's actually going to happen. So it's kind of exciting. Terry came up with a few names that are on the agenda item summary. And then Jen put a poll in Currents, and Weemall came out the top in that particular poll. There were 22 participants in that particular survey. There were also some other names that I'd like to share that people had in that poll. Against All Odds Crossing, The Little Road That Could Way, About Time Avenue, Better Late Than Never Road, Perseverance Pathway or Parkway, Determination Drive, Westport Channel, and my favorite, Hendricks Boulevard. So, anyway, we don't need to find a name particularly today, but this is just to start the discussion of what it is. In the other two roads, the number 2 road in that poll were Coates Crossing, and the number 3 was John West Road. And just a little bit about the naming process. It's not too difficult. It all runs through our department. It's initially, we need to come up with 3 names. Then it gets submitted to the planning department, which routes it to Cindy in our department. And at that point, she runs the names across our database of road names to make sure they're not similar or duplicate or any more close to other names. And then at that point, she routes it to the sheriff, to Gale and planning, emergency management, the dispatch, and also the people that will be using the road. So, and then we wait for comments, and then assuming no comments, I would think that normally the first road choice gets approved, because usually when it gets submitted, we'll just tell them, straight out, this isn't going to fly, and we'll send it back out. So before we route, we usually do that process. So anyway, we're here to hear what you guys think and what your opinions are and what you want to do going forward.
Yeah, thanks, Dean. I'm shocked that Hendricks Highway hasn't pulled ahead of everybody, but I think those are good ones. Wimmel and Coates and John West, all 3 seem like good options. Commissioner Banks.
I like the historical perspective in the potential road naming. I was looking at Westport's history, and frankly, even, our local historian, I think his name is Jim Alberg. Is that correct? I mean, Alberg Road. But I think of, there was a salmon cannery there, Salmon Cannery Road. They were moving timber Landing Road. John West, I mean, that seems great too. I like the historical perspective when diving down road naming. So anyhow, the only person that really historically comes up is the founder of Westport, which was John West. So anyhow, those are just my thoughts. Thanks.
I share those thoughts, Commissioner Banks. Commissioner Webb.
Thank you. One of the things, this is one of my favorite things that local governments do. It's just my whole career. This is just one of the most fun things that we do. I would like to see, I have never seen, I don't think, the actual course of this road. I don't know what this road looks like. When I think about when I think about Westport, I don't see the structure of this road. Would it be possible, Dean, to get us some kind of a map? Just something that lets us know, because I think that helps a little bit about what, in the naming of the road, I think I don't know, just kind of what it looks like in the town, I think is an important issue. I particularly like the Chinook word. I don't think we do enough in this county to recognize the history of our Native people, and anything we can do that reminds people that this originally belonged to other Native people. And I would really support more of it, actually, doing more recognition of the Chinook history here in various ways. And I think that road naming is a really good way to do it. And as I say, I'd like to see what the road looks like. Thank you.
Yep. Thank you, Commissioner Webb. Commissioner Thompson.
Well, thank you. So it's not my district. but I remember being a facilitator for the County Board of Commissioners, and we had a big map of Clatsop County, and every commissioner got to put a project on it. And Dirk Rohn, way back, way back, way back, way back, put this Westport Ferry on there. So I love the tongue-in-cheek suggestions of it's about time road, or you know what I mean? That one. I think whatever we call it, I understand the yearning for historical connection. I think whatever we call it, it's going to be called the Westport Ferry Road, right? Because that's what it's connected to, and that's how people will know what it means. But I'm happy to honor one segment of our history or another. I just point out that if we notice one segment of history, other people may say, but what about these other pieces of history? But whatever folks want, I'm good with. Thanks.
Thanks, Commissioner Thompson. Commissioner Banks?
I was curious to see if a survey would go out, with a little bit further stretch to potentially, those who live in Westport, and see, when selected the top, I don't know, 3 or the top 5 names that potentially the community living there could have the opportunity to vote on the name of the road that's going to be in their neighborhood. I'm just curious. And then also, I like the quotes one, but maybe Walter in front of it, because he was the owner of the first ferry that connected both Westport and Cathlamet. So anyhow, that was just a thought too. Sorry. I'm coming with a lot of thoughts today. Some of them probably extremely unhelpful. What an entertaining, fun situation to be able to name a road. So I'm kind of sharing the joy of it.
Yeah, thank you, Commissioner Banks. Do we, as far as sharing this existing poll out there farther, what could we do to maybe get some more input, more than the 22 that have already weighed in, but getting some more community, I guess, buy-in for what we select here?
I mean, we could, the community meetings out there are pretty successful, or we could do a mailer, either one.
Yeah, I think that'd be great. Commissioner Banks?
Frankly, the community meetings that I've been to out there are very successful. And this feels like, a celebration, and acknowledgement of the celebration for this small community of, we heard you, we recognize that the previous road has issues. Yay for the new one. I feel like it would really bring some buy-in into the process and some excitement into the process. And I think a community meeting, if staff was up for it, I think it would be just wonderful to have folks hear an update from staff and have naming of a road be part of it.
Yeah, there might be issue with one person out there, but yeah, typically they're pretty successful.
Yeah, I share Commissioner Bang's comment, though, that we'd like to have Westport, the community, really have the say in what the name of it is. I mean, I think that they should have ultimately more of a voice. Anybody else? Comments, Commissioner Thompson?
Well, okay, so that makes sense to me, what you all said, because it isn't the Westport Ferry Road, it's the alternate, but they want a new identity, they want a new community-centered thing, and how they want to name their community makes sense to me, that it be, they live there, they want to have that right. So yeah, I'd go for that. That would make sense.
Any other comments, questions? Okay, yeah, I think we have kind of a direction here. We want to reach out to the community, put some more on your plate, Dean.
Yeah, I like it. Keeps me busy.
Yeah. No, it's great. Good discussion and great suggestions too on the names. I think these are all viable and I think it'd be good to hear what the community thinks.
All right. Yeah, we'll reach out to the community and then we'll report back to you.
Great. Thanks so much.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks, Dean. All right. We do have, that's the end of our topics for the work session, but we do have an executive session. As necessary, executive session will be held in accordance with, but not limited to, ORS 192.660, subset 2, subset D, labor negotiations, and ORS 192.660, subset 2, subset E, property transactions, and ORS 192.660, subset 2, subset F, records exempt from public inspection. And then ORS 192.660, subset 2, subset H, legal counsel. So we have a few things that we're going to discuss in executive session. So we'll ask that everybody that's not going to participate to drop off at this time. I think we've got everybody we need, right?
So I can't drop my kids off anywhere, so I'm going to have to relocate. So will you give me a second?
Yes. Yep. Go
Thanks.
ahead, Commissioner Banks.
And Chair, if I can just clarify that this will be about a property transaction. So it'll be ORS 192.6602E.
Oh, okay. I read them all, I guess. So yes, we
No,
want to
you covered all the bases.
cover all the bases just in case. We'll let Commissioner Banks get situated. You ready? Okay. We'll turn
Well,
it.
hello, Commissioners.
Heather?
This is Heather Chapman. Hello. And Heidi
Welcome.
Tandy. So I don't know if you received any of the attachments